What's going on in the Phoenix metro housing market in September of 2020? I've got all those answers for you starting right now. Hey everyone, it's Caitlin McKegg. I'm a realtor here in Phoenix, Arizona. Last week I tried some new camera tricks and asked you to comment if you liked them. I only got one comment that said that they like them, so I'm doing it again this week, and let me know if it works for you. If this is your first time to my channel, you might want to subscribe. I do weekly market updates and monthly market updates. I also do home tours and talk about real estate tips. And to keep up to date on a daily basis, check out my social media channels and follow me there as well. So let's jump into the latest on our monthly market update. So in September of 2020, here are the stats. Our active listings are down 39% compared to September of 2019. Our listings under contract are up 29%, and our monthly median sales price is up 16%. That median sales price is $325,000. And if you remember from my August update, the median sales price was $315,000. Our closed sales are up 3.3%, and our months of inventory is down to 1.4. Okay, so diving in, what does all of this mean? Well, it's the same story as it's been every month. We have low supply, few homes for sale. Our number of contracts is up, so more homes being sold, and that median sales price continues to increase. I get a lot of questions about what the market does seasonally in the Phoenix area. And this year is a whole new thing, so I can't really tell you what we're going to do in terms of trends. But what I can say is we're typically very busy in February, March, and April. That's a high season for Phoenix, and we stay pretty consistent through the summer. Then as we go into the fall months, we tend to see a decline in listings under contract, and we tend to see more homes listed for sale. So you get an increase in our inventory, but not quite as many buyers interested, and so those listing timeframes stay longer. We have a few more homes to choose from, and in essence, the market is just a little bit slower in the fall. Well, I hate to break it to you, but 2020 is not doing what we normally thought it would. So right now, our listings under contract as we go into the fall has totally spiked and taken on a completely different trend than it has in the last 10, 15, 20 years. As you can see in this graph, the 2020 line, which is green, is kind of doing its own thing. Every other line in the last 10 to 15 years has begun a downward trend as we start to move towards the end of the year. 2020 has spiked up, increased, and is well above our historic lines showing numbers of homes under contract in the fall season. So when you already have low supply and we're seeing more homes under contract than we typically do, that helps you understand why we're in the position that we're in this market. Let's talk a little bit about supply and demand. I talk about this often, but if you're new to my channel, what I reference is the Cromford Market Index, and I subscribe to a subscription called the Cromford Report, where they analyze MLS data from the Phoenix MLS and give us information on market trends, what's going on in the market, and so on. They've created a market index. The market index takes into consideration supply and demand factors in the market, as well as adjusting for seasonality and things like that. What they've created is that the number of 100 is balance, and anywhere between 90 to 110, we're in somewhat of a balanced market. Once you start going above 100, we're in a seller's market and prices will increase. Once you start going below 100, we're in a buyer's market and prices will decrease. That's the overall principle of this index. And based on this information, the index can help us predict what prices will do. So here's the graph showing the demand index. You can see that we are well above the line of 100 on this index and sitting at about 26% above normal demand. Looking at the same graph but for supply, this is showing that we are way below supply. You can see where the 100 line is, and we're actually 64% below normal in terms of our supply. This really shows us what's going on here. The red line is supply, the green line is demand, and you can see towards the right side where we're at about 26% above normal for our demand and about 64% below normal for our supply. So these two lines are moving in different directions. The 100 line is the normal line or balance. So the pressure on the market when these lines are moving in different directions is what creates the market conditions that we're experiencing. If you look back to what these lines were doing in 2007 and 2008, we had an opposite scenario. Our supply was way high and our demand was way low. So although we are seeing a lot of demand, higher prices, and more homes under contract, we have the opposite situation as what we had back in 2007 and 8. So when we look at the market index put together with supply and demand, you can see this number is approaching 350. It's actually 348.5. Remember, keep in mind that 100 is a balanced market. Anything over 100 is a seller's market and prices are expected to increase. I really like to show those graphs because it's the best way for me to show you what I'm talking about when I rattle off all these numbers. It's also really easy to understand what's going on in the market when you can see how high of a reading 348 is with this market index. Knowing that information, it makes more sense why prices continue to increase in this market. This table here is showing the same information, but it's by city. And that value in the first column, which is the Cromford Market Index now, is the same value as what I was just speaking about. So seeing Avondale at 588, that is extremely high and well above normal. They are so far into a seller's market in that city. But the funny thing is, compared to last month, they saw a 10% decrease. They used to be at a reading of 650.9. So that shows us that that market is softening just a bit. However, don't plan on seeing any change in this market as a buyer or a seller. This value is so high that that move downwards is so slight you wouldn't even notice. The green arrows are indicating a move further in the direction of a seller's market, and the red arrows are indicating a move further away from a seller's market. Paradise Valley is the one city that is lower on this market index at 255. However, it is still very far into a seller's market when you remember that balance and normal is a value of 100. So where are we getting all of this demand and why can't we get enough supply? Well, it's a great question that we're all trying to figure out, but I have a few observations. First of all, we have a positive net new migration to Phoenix on a daily basis, and it's been this way for a while, but that has completely increased when COVID started. A lot of that is because people have decided they want to move to a place that allows them to have more space and lower taxes and things like that. Phoenix actually offers that to many people. Also, there's more opportunity now for people to work remote and work from home. So they don't necessarily have to stay in the state or the city that they were in previously. This has shaken up the market a bit for buyers to move around, whether they're coming from other states or relocating within our state. In addition, California is experiencing the wealth tax, where they're considering increasing income taxes and corporate taxes in the wake of the pandemic. This threat of new taxes has encouraged some folks to move out of the state. In addition to that, we're also seeing a lot of civil unrest in some of these major cities, and Arizona is a place where you can get a little more space and perhaps is a little more calm at the moment as compared to cities like Seattle and Chicago. So that explains the demand, but prior to the pandemic, we were already dealing with low supply issues. That hasn't changed at all. This increase in demand has only made it harder for us to have more available homes for sale because we haven't kept up with building homes in the last 10 years as compared to our population growth. So we already had a supply issue, and now we have an increase in our demand, and it's really put us in a place where supply and demand are not close to meeting in the middle whatsoever. This being the case, there's really no anticipation of prices coming down, at least within the next 8 to 12 months. Although prices continue to increase, we are still at a good level of affordability as it relates to the average incomes of our residents here. Until we start to see pressure on that affordability rate, home prices will likely continue to rise. On the employment front, we have some really good news. We've added 80,000 jobs in the last month, and our unemployment is down to 5.9%. That's a level around the 2015 unemployment levels. The US is sitting at about 8.4%, so we're doing better than the average. So bottom line, what I have for you, it's really competitive out there. If you're a buyer, it's going to be challenging for you to find a home, and there will likely be bidding wars, but it's not impossible. I've helped plenty of people do that in the last year, and I know I can help you get that done if that's your need. If you're a seller, it is such a good time to sell. You just need to know where you're going afterwards, because if you plan to buy, it might be a little bit of an uphill battle or juggling as we try to coincide the closing dates so you don't have to rent in between selling and buying. But as always, if you have any questions or you want to know more about your situation, feel free to reach out to me. I'm happy to talk through options with you, give you advice, or help you in your home search or home selling process. Check out the links that I have below. I'm offering a free relocation guide and the ability to search my MLS for homes for sale if you are looking to purchase in the Valley. And I haven't forgotten about sellers. If you're interested in your instant home valuation, I have a really cool feature. You can click below to get that quickly and have an idea of what your home might sell for. Okay, that's the update I have for you for September. As always, reach out with any questions by call, text, or email. I'm Caitlin McKegg with HomeSmart. Thanks so much for watching.